Hey. What's happening? What's happening? Hey, welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rahn. And I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka The Dark Knight, here at the 9 o'clock hour. Hey, look here. You know, I know if I seem a little bit excited and a little bit pumped, extra pumped, that's because I am. I couldn't wait to get to the studio tonight because we're going to talk about two things that has happened in the last 72 hours. Tonight's show, the title of tonight's show is called Uncle Abe's Boom Boom Room. First thing we gonna get a bit into is we're gonna talk about let's talk about this thing about Jason Van Dyke. Okay, Jason Van Dyke. Now, this situation originally started uh, um, October 20th, 2014, when two people met at the wrong times in their lives. Jason Van Dyke, former Chicago police officer, and now officially convicted felon. Convicted felon. He's over at the county right now. Convicted felon. His county number is 2018. That's where they start. 1005157. That is the name. So if you decide you want to send him a little gift package or whatever the case, that's how you get in contact with him. Now, when this case originally started, people had this was never supposed to see the light of day. This past Friday, Jason Van Dyke was convicted of second degree murder and aggravated battery with a firearm. 16 counts, mind you, 16 counts. That's one count per bullet. Now, to get into some specifics about this, and before I get too far off into it, I'm gonna let you all know that the lines are open. If you want to join in this conversation, you have an opinion, you got something you want to say, something that you want to add. The lines are open at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953 to join in. Now, this case lasted 3 weeks. The jury was out for 6 hours and 15 minutes. I'm sure that this was almost like for black people sitting glued to the television or or listening to the radio or right now, glued to their cell phones, their smartphones or whatever. This was almost indicative of the O.J. Simpson trial. And a lot of us know where we were when we were waiting for the verdict. Even my engineer is nodding his head and saying, yeah, he remembers where he was. So we all know where we were. And so this is a moment in time that this particular generation will know where they were when a Chicago police officer was convicted of murder while on duty. The last time a Chicago cop was convicted of a murder while on duty, 50 years ago. But here's the thing about this. This verdict was monumental for blacks only. Blacks only. We're talking about the Eric Gardners. We're talking about the Michael Browns. We're talking about the Sandra Blands. We're talking about the Philandro Castro. We're talking about any black man, any black individual that was shot down like a dog in the street by white police, by white police officer. And now we finally have a conviction. Now, a lot of people were a little concerned. They say, well, no, this guy's going to get off. This guy's going to get off. No. I told people long time ago, and they even argued with me about this. This is going to happen. This guy's going to get off. It's all political. Yes, it is politicized. But here's the thing. 3 people lost their jobs due to this tape coming to light, thanks to to certain activists and a reporter forcing the issue of getting the tape released. Getting it released because it needed to be seen to see how um this problem inside the Chicago Police Department is systematic and constantly going on without any type of oversight. Now, going back to the 20th of October 2014, Laquan McDonald, and if some of you don't know, if you didn't follow the trial, I'm gonna just kind of give you a brief summary of what the situation developed into. Um, there was a truck driver who called police saying that there was someone in the yard stealing radios and flattening truck tires. Now, here's the thing: when they got this man on the stand, who was the 911 caller, he said in his own testimony that he never saw this individual, who we now know as Laquan McDonald, stealing radios. What it was is that Laquan McDonald was in the truck yard. He was in the truck yard. He accosted this man, and there was not really an altercation. He just kind of was in his own world. Now, this witness, the 911 caller, he fended off Laquan McDonald with a cell phone and a handful of gravel. I want you to earmark that for a moment. He fended off Laquan McDonald. Now, mind you, Laquan McDonald had a knife, but he fended him off with a handful of gravel and a phone. Laquan McDonald leaves the truck yard, and by this time, police encounter him. And at this particular point, the two responding officers who encounter him, they keep their distance, and this is after Laquan McDonald flattened the tire on the squad car and scratched the windshield. But neither one of these police officers, and they even said on the stand, they did not feel threatened. But they followed McDonald down the street. They just said that he just didn't appear to be himself. These are the first two police officers who arrive on the scene. So they follow McDonald roughly a few blocks till they get up to Pulaski Road. By this time, more police are called, and then here come Jason Van Dyke and Joe Walsh, the two super cops. That's exactly what these two crackers wanted to be, and that's right, exactly what I said. These two super cops, these two crackers, they wanted to be the end all. They want to be all end all. That's what they wanted to be. They zoom onto the scene. Now, most of us have seen the video of this squad car zooming around another squad car and accosting McDonald. And as we see McDonald drifting away from police, you see Joe Walsh, you see Jason Van Dyke jump out of the vehicle. Joe Walsh comes around to the other side, and Jason Van Dyke opens fire unprovoked. Now, Jason Van Dyke took the stand in his own defense, okay, which basically he committed suicide. Roughly, that's exactly what he did. He committed suicide. Because the worst thing you can do is, if you happen to be an individual that is charged with a very serious crime, is take the stand in your own defense. Because what happens is that the prosecution, you open yourself up for the prosecution to ask you 11 different dozen questions that you may not be prepared for, which Jason Van Dyke was not prepared for, and and his legal team did a piss poor job of really prepping him. And at the same time, basically, they knew in the back of their minds that this dude was going to the boom boom room. Make no mistake, they knew that. They just didn't tell him that. Now, Jason Van Dyke, during the entire trial, sat emotionless, stoic, and even to a point, I would say, defiant. That basically in his mind, now whether he's a racist or not, I can't tell you that. But from all indications, it looks like he's a racist. It looks like this was a cracker who just had in his mind he was going to end this. Now, here's the other thing that was in Jason Van Dyke's testimony that he not only said on the stand, but he told to his partner, and he told to the psychiatrist. Jason Van Dyke, as they were listening to radio traffic, Jason Van Dyke says, and I quote, oh my gosh, we're going to have to shoot this guy. He said this. 6 seconds upon arriving on the scene, what does he do? He shoots the guy. Now, that falls up under the line of premeditation. Now, we have to understand the legal wrangling of premeditation. Now, that was one of the reasons on why they went for initially for the first degree murder charge. But the difference between the two, between first degree murder and second degree murder, there's certain things that you have to prove, certain elements that have to exist. With first degree murder, you have to prove premeditation and intent. First degree murder. With second degree murder, you have the elements are less. The elements are less, but there are certain things that go into it, such as the action that one took could lead to injury or death of another, which is what Jason Van Dyke did. His actions, even though that were unlawful, led to the death of another. Even though he was working in the capacity of his office as a police officer, his actions were unreasonable. That's how they got to the second degree murder charge, because his actions were unreasonable and it led to the death or injury of another. Now, let's go to the other charges, which is counts of aggravated battery. Now, aggravated battery is a class X felony. Class X. You don't get any good time for that. None. You don't get no credit day for day. You don't get anything for that. And he's charged with 16 counts. Now, the sentencing guidelines, the sentencing is 6 to 30. Now, what can happen is that not only will he get time for the second degree murder, which is a 4 to 15, but the aggravated battery charge, aggravated battery with a firearm, carries more time, because they can actually charge you per bullet. They can charge you per count per bullet. He's got 16 counts per bullet. So do the math. And some of you who are, if you're really, really slow, get a calculator, write it down, use your fingers. It roughly comes out to 96. If they max him out on the minimum, which is 6 years, 6 times 16, so it roughly comes up to about 96 years, plus the 30 for the murder, second degree murder. Jason Van Dyke is 40 years old. He's not ever coming out of prison. Well, here's the thing with the concurrent. Now, I'm glad you brought that up. Now, if they run them concurrent, now concurrent means that they can run the second degree murder time and the aggravated battery time. But he's going to eat up the murder time, but he still has the aggravated battery time that he still has to do. That in itself is 30 years. So he's really jammed up. They could give him for second degree murder, they could give him 4 years and he'll eat that up. But the 6 years, 6 times and so on and so on and so on, he's looking at another 60 years, 66 years. He's 40 years old. He's not coming out. Not coming out. This dude is not coming out. And the other part about this is that and some cases you're not eligible for parole, such as aggravated battery with a firearm. He may not get it, and they may and I have to give the special prosecutors kudos for the job that they did. This guy Joe, his name is Joe McMahon. He's a state's attorney out here and out there in Kane County. And they brought him in. Now, how they came about this fiasco, only because Anita Alvarez, a former state's attorney for the Cook County, basically covered this up, didn't charge him, and dropped the ball, which subsequently cost her job. Now, who did win the job? Kim Foxx. She won the job, and she, I would say, in my opinion, under political pressure, had to pursue this and had to go the route of getting a special prosecutor, because you could not, it's be a conflict of interest for Cook County to charge, and it's a conflict of interest, and you want this done right, and it's going to be highly watched. Now the fact that the fact that this cop has been convicted, Kim Fox just pretty much she's in line to get us to probably get a second term as state's attorney. But what this also does, see, years ago when we had police officers charged, and this has been going on for quite some time, when charges were brought against police officers for murder, second degree murder, and so on and so forth, what happens is that you have a lot of individuals who are pooled for jury, and people have a problem with convicting police officers because in the back of their mind they're thinking, hey, these are police officers. They can do no wrong. Yes, they can. And what this jury showed here on Friday, this Cook County jury of 16 people, 16 people. When I say actually it's 12, but it's 16. You have 12 actual jurors and 4 alternates. But what they did is that they showed they applied the law in the way it was written, and not only that, but they were not afraid to convict a police officer. And a lot of jurors are afraid to convict police officers because they have this because they feel that these are good people. Some of them are not. Let's talk about the pervert. Let's talk about the pink elephant in the room. Well, that's true. That's why I said that. There's some are afraid, and it's been brought to my and that's very true. Some people are afraid of police. I can't dispute that. But right now, what happens? There has to be a change there has to be a change, and the tides have changed. And so, what this does, this is going to ripple across this country to where now state's attorneys or district attorneys or prosecutors are going to start when they catch police officers in wrongdoing, they're going to charge them, and then people now feel comfortable that, hey, we can do the right thing. These people are not above the law. And as Joe McMahon said, he stated that no one, not even police officers, are above the law. No one, not even police officers, are above the law. Now, Van Dyke's lawyers, Herbert, he's a circus clown, and he stated, we're going to vehemently, we are adamant about this, and we are going to file an appeal. Not only did that, but the FOP is not. See, now you got to remember, now this is what it looks like when you got money and you got people backing you. The FOP is paying for Jason Van Dyke's defense, which means that that's money that honest police officers are paying into this union, into this entity to defend a bad cop. There's something really wrong with that. Something really wrong. Naturally, they're going to say, the FOP said, well, we're disappointed with the outcome and the verdict. Of course you are. But it's very difficult to say that he was acting in capacity of a police officer when you're shooting an individual. Now, here's something that people didn't know too. Jason Van Dyke struck Laquan McDonald 16 out of 16. They pulled 16 rounds out of Laquan McDonald's body, not only fragments, and even to the point, and I'm going to definitely get into a little bit more specifics about the autopsy and the injuries that he sustained. Laquan McDonald suffered injuries to both wrists. The right wrist was shattered. One arm was broken. So it's very difficult to try to get up or move around or to even try. They even found bullet fragments in his teeth. So if that is not shooting down a person like they are a dog in the street, I don't know what is. Now, they had a shooting expert from the FBI on the stand, and he said this is what, and they did a test on discharging a firearm 16 times. And that's just doing it without thinking. Now, according to the expert, He fired 16 shots, and out of the 16 shots, he hit his target 10 times. And that's just shooting, and that's not even not taking aim. But then what he said, though, he said in order to hit your target that many times, you have to be thinking, and you are being calm, and you're being methodical, meaning that meaning Jason Van Dyke took his time to hit him 16 times. 16 times. In order to hit your target 16 times, you have to take your time. You take your time and you aim. Now, Jason Van Dyke's defense was this. I was shooting at the knife to get it away from him. Now, I kid you not, that's exactly what Jason Van Dyke said. I was shooting at the knife. That doesn't make any sense to me, none whatsoever. Period. When the verdict came out, when the verdict was read, Jason Van Dyke sat there. He was completely emotionless. He didn't shed a tear. He didn't even look to his wife. When the verdict was read, the judge made the announcement, and he says, "Well, I'm recommendation on bail." Joe McMahon stood up and immediately said that we want his bond, we want his bail revoked. We want it revoked. Because right now he's facing significant time. Plus, he's a convicted felon with a class and the charge of aggravated battery is a class X. He cannot walk the streets. He cannot. His attorney, they tried to argue, and instantly, the judge said, "Well, bond is revoked, and you are remanded to custody." So Jason Van Dyke will be in jail from this point on. He goes back for the sentencing hearing. He goes back for a status on sentencing October 31st. But the fact of the matter is that this particular generation, and they banded together to get this information out, that this has to come to an end, that we understand that the system is already against us as Black people. I totally get it. But if we do these things in a peaceful manner, if we continue the fight, continue to push forward in what we know and to believe is right, not because of what the masses want us to do or say, but because we know this to be right. Laquan McDonald would, and it's not well, I won't say, I'm not going to compare it, but it would be likened to the justice that Emmett Till never got. It would be justice for the three civil rights workers who were killed in 1964, Goodman, Cheney, and Schwermer. It would be for Medgar Evers. It would be for anyone that has been gunned down because of the color of their skin by law enforcement. And the list goes on and on and on and on. This is something that can be no longer hidden, that we can no longer turn our backs on. And the fact of the matter that this took place here in the city of Chicago, and they made a statement. Now, the three people that lost their jobs due to this, Gary McCarthy, who happens to be running for the mayor of Chicago, which right about now that there's a conviction, this kind of puts a dark cloud over his head now. So he may be losing some points right about now, because he was the superintendent in charge at the time that the shooting happened and the video was hidden. Now, just to go back a little bit, the fact of the matter that several other police officers lied to investigators, they all held to the lie, and now they are charged with crimes: official misconduct, falsifying reports, obstruction of justice. And these obstruction of justice, These are police officers who are breaking the law, which is not a surprise. But now they got caught. There's no hope. There's no escaping from this. And whether you want to, and whether Van Dyke's lawyer said, well, Jason Van Dyke has been the scapegoat. That this, you really, nobody's really looking at the real picture. Whether he's a scapegoat or not, he's being served. He is the proverbial sacrificial lamb being served up with mint jelly, being served up. Hey, welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rahn. Who do I have on the phone? Hey, caller, who do I have on the phone, and where are you calling from?
This is Jay from Georgia.
Hey, what's happening in Georgia?
All right. So kind of joining a little late, but nonetheless, good conversation. First thing I'll start in with this is, it is a good thing that there is some level of justice that is being rendered in that case with Van Dyke. As it relates to that issue with them, the Chicago police, and so on and so forth. But I think the first thing, and I've said it on this platform a couple of times, is until we really, really deal with the legislative side of this, where the idea of you cannot shoot a citizen down in the street like a dog without some level of repercussions, until that is established, this will continue. And the only reason why we're able to have these conversations is because of the advancement of social media and the digital footprint that it leaves. That's the first part. Had this not been videotaped, had we not had the ability to instantly access this information and distribute that information unbiasedly, half of these situations would not have even seen the light of day, therefore would have been swept under the rug, which has consistently been the everyday cycle, particularly in law enforcement. So kudos to that. But I think at the end of the day, we need to look at how we can fix the standing so that now police officers, because it's not just the police. Police officers do what the policy and the ordinances of that particular jurisdiction allow them to do. They're law enforcement, which means that they can only enforce and to some degree execute what has already been established as the resonating ordinance in that particular jurisdiction. So if we want better treatment, we have to demand better ordinances and policies be created to establish it as such, which takes time, which is a good thing that I'm seeing some things happening in the Supreme Court, which will help some other stuff start to get a little bit more balance than what it has been, and less clouded with other issues that are personal as opposed to more relevant. Hopefully that made sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. You know what? And to go to that, to talk about that, and this is one of the things to where there's certain. That's why I said at the beginning of the show that two things happened. There was a conviction and there was a confirmation. There was a conviction and a confirmation. But hey, Georgia, if you wanna hold on or call me back, I need to pay some bills right here. Take a little break and give us about 2 minutes and hit me back.
All right.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Hit me back in about 2 minutes. We're going to take this little break here on iHeart Intellectual, the Chronicles of Rahn, to pay our bills around here. Hey, check out Captain Hooks. Captain Hooks for some fabulous chicken, fish, and shrimp. Check out their location at 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 159th and Kedzie. Nubian, beauty of hair. Check out their website, luxuryhairdirect.com/bynubian4. Remember to put the dot at the end of that 4. Hey, we'll be right back here on Chronicles of Rahn.
When it's been, gotta hit him like New shit, they call me Batman, cause the black mask is on my face. Gun up on my waist, booted and suited in them black case. I'm looking for some hood rats that I take to the back cave. Y'all lame like blank man, while I'm steady serving them like pistol on my utility belt. Like, yeah, I keep my identity to myself. Like, you don't want me to grab that thing from the shelf. Like, I call them robbing, cause that's my only help, right? Okay. Girls hit my bat signal when they know that I'm coming. I say I ain't here for nothing, now give me that cat woman. As soon as we started stomach pumping, somebody had started thumping. She jumped up and caught her breath like, did you hear something? As soon as I get near to y'all, you want me to get into y'all. I ain't trying to tease, I'm play with your mind like the Riddler. Girl, I'm really feeling ya, but you're acting two-faced. Her body smell fresh, but her breath needs some toothpaste. Nah, I ain't even go play with her, I'm giving it to her all the way straight. Wait, she said quit playing. What you think I'm a joker? By the one we freaking. By the end of the night it's over. This girl with poison ivy, but I'ma have to give her a chance. Cause this a one night stand, but I'ma have bigger plans. From top to roof like through the window like Batman, you cool, right? Hit the floor, then I duck roll, shoot like a uppercut. Gotta leave them sack or two, right? Ha. Look, this what I told her. Girl, I break backs, bang. She hit me.
Hey, and welcome back to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicle of the show, Chronicles of Rahn. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka The Dark Knight, here at the bottom of the hour. Hey, we were discussing the Van Dyke trial, and during the break, and let me clarify something with you all. I know that you all are seeing things on social media and you're seeing things on various things, and they're talking about this guy's not going to get a lot of time, blah, 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 blah. No, you have to understand something. One of the things we have to look at, Jason Van Dyke is what they consider, I'm going to say consider, but when you are charged with a crime, and this is this is the first time you've gone through the system, you will consider what they call a first-time offender. Now, first-time offenders are eligible for the minimum sentencing per charge, depending on what the charges are. Now, Jason Van Dyke. Now, some people now lawyers will argue that with Jason Van Dyke being charged with second-degree murder, being convicted of second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery, it's the same thing to where if a person commits a murder or they commit a robbery or they commit a sexual assault, you can be charged. You can be charged. You can be charged per action. So if you had a person who's been sexually assaulted by the same, this person's been assaulted by the same person, say over a course of 5 years, and they ask the person, well, how many times had this happened? Well, it happened to me 7 or 8 times. Well, they can charge that person with that many counts, with 7 counts, even though, because these were different times. And how that happens is that you this is based on the fact that you took the time to think about this and then you did it. The same thing with Jason Van Dyke is what they're looking at is the fact that he was hit 16 out of 16, which in any any target any shooting range is a perfect score. This guy was acting like he was playing GTA, Grand Theft Auto 6, and he hit him 16 out of 16. Now, when the state's attorney decided this was what they're going to do and put aggravated battery with a firearm, 16 counts, and those counts, and they carry 6 years per. Even if they say, well, we can bring it, we're gonna knock off, we're only gonna charge him, and some people say, well, he's only gonna get 6 years. Even though he's a first-time offender, he's had several counts. Plus, he's got the murder. Jason Van Dyke is looking at anywhere between 15, right, starting at 15 to 20, at the low end, upwards to 30 to 50 years. That's the high end. But the idea is that the judge will ultimately have the last say so. But what he's going to do is he's going to make an example out of Van Dyke, which means Van Dyke will get hit with some time. Mark my words. Trust me. Mark my words. As my grandmother used to say, if you ever shucks, it escapes me right now, but it'll come back to me. But mark my words, this dude is going to get significant time because they want an example out of him. And as I said before I went to break, this dude is the lamb chop served up with mint jelly. And if you've ever had that, if you've never had that, believe me, it's something to get into. It really, really is. We have to understand how the law works and how it's worded and how it goes. He's entitled to certain things by him being a first-time offender. Certain things he is entitled to, such as the minimum guidelines. Now, this dude, whenever he gets classed out, wherever he may go, he's not this guy. He may not go behind a wall. If he does go behind a wall, he'll be in PC from that point on. Chances are that since he's a first-time offender, he's going to go to some type of work camp where he's, wears a fence and 5 guard towers, places like Jacksonville, Logan, probably Big Muddy, places where they're just so far out in the way till it'll be like the moon to him. And it's a different environment. I mean, right now this dude he's been in county for the last 5 days, and guess what? It's going to get harder from that point on. It really, really is. But I said a second thing I want to talk about. We got this thing going on with Brett Kavanaugh, who is now a United States Supreme Court justice. He is now sitting on the highest seat in the land of the law. Now, there was a lot of brouhaha about this dude probably not. And I told people they're gonna come. Make no mistake, they are going to confirm this guy. Now, first things first, and I want to address the ladies that may be listening. Make no mistake, I do not, and I repeat this, I do not condone violence towards women. By no means. I don't condone it. But what I have a problem with is that why would this woman wait 37 years and then wait till this guy gets to the gate of the Supreme Court to decide to say this guy assaulted me? Why would you wait? Not only that, but this allegedly happened at a party when they were in high school. Now her story, which I didn't believe, and I couldn't, and there was really not a lot of credibility to it. A lot of it seemed rehearsed, and she even had trouble remembering things. Well, that's a problem, and that always is a problem when you're talking about a sexual assault it's an incident between two people, especially when it involves a sexual assault, because it's going to boil down to he said, she said. Okay, now make no mistake, Matt Kavanaugh. Listen to me, Brett Kavanaugh was the guy that was born with a silver spoon up his ass. So he had the best of everything. I mean, you don't go to these preppy schools and then get into Yale and without a little boost. Okay. Yes. This guy, he admitted, yes, he drank beer. His words were, I drank beer. I like beer. I drank a lot of beer, but I didn't drink enough beer to where I would completely pass out. Now, let's be totally honest, Brett. Let's be totally honest now. We're talking about college life. We're talking about you guys getting completely and utterly blasted. Now, whether you remember or not, that's to be seen. But Let's not forget. You know, this dude may he can't he's not the innocent little lamb in the room either. And even he said to the one about when he's asked and when they asked him about, well, do you think this woman was raped? Well, he said, I'll tell you this. I believe something happened to her, but it wasn't me. I believe something happened to her, but it wasn't me. And what's and and not to be unsympathetic or I just try to it's just difficult to wrap my head around certain things. Why in the world that these women who come out 20, 30 years and say they were sexually assaulted, why does it look like that half of them look like somebody backed into their faces with a dump truck? I'm trying to understand that. The woman that accused Bill Cosby. Now, make no mistake, Bill Cosby kind of shot himself in the foot, and at the same time, his lawyers didn't help him because there are certain things that his lawyers should have filed motions to suppress, such as his deposition when he said that he had given quaaludes to women. Okay, Bill, keep your mouth shut. And just definitely be careful. Watch your back, especially when those flying hot dog buns come at you. Yes, that is a true story. It's Bill Cosby's first night in prison. He Some people started throwing hot dog buns at him and putting in Jello pudding cups. True story, kid you not. Um, but Kavanaugh, this was also too when the woman was sitting there and she was testifying and they asked her certain questions. It seemed like she just a total fog. Now the problem I have is that if something traumatic happens to you, um, there's certain details that you don't forget. There's certain things, there's certain triggers that will happen. For some people, it may be a particular smell. For it may be a particular smell. It may be a TV show. It may be music. It may be a particular car. It may be various things that trigger someone's memory on what happened to them. They could see the very person that did this to them 30 years later and they will go into a tizzy. That's why I have a real problem with that. That's why. Hey, welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rahn. Who do I have on the phone and where are you calling from?
Okay, Jay from Georgia calling back. I
All
know
right.
you were trying to get back after the break, but you also went into Kavanaugh, so
Yes.
wanted to chime in real quick on that, if I could.
Sure.
I think where you ended off was you were dealing with, or at least talking about, the accuser, Miss Ford, and certain things that she remembered about the incident and certain things. But let me just jump right to it.
Yeah, just go right
First
in.
of all, we have to realize that Brett Kavanaugh was going to be the equalizer that shifted the Supreme Court from a more liberal and slippery slope of no standards back to some footing of conservative legal standards with the express intent of keeping the letter of the law as it was written to remain as such. That's the first thing that Brett Kavanaugh, from a judicial standpoint, why he was selected. We also have to remember that this dude was hand selected from a number of sources because of his impartiality. But to get back to this whole Ford thing, it really was to me, that was their Super Bowl moment of this Me Too, You Too, R2D2 BS. And it failed greatly because the problem with the entire implosion or with this entire infestation, I think that's the better word,
Yes.
of this, is that allegations can be baseless. Allegations can just be thrown out here like you're sprinkling salt over a steak.
Let me throw this out at you right quick, Georgia. Do you think and I you already you pretty much got a good idea. Do you think this was the ultimate Hail Mary by the Democrats to derail America and once again put black people at the back of the proverbial put us at the back at the proverbial bus again?
To be totally honest with you, this was, have you ever been in line and you literally, you garner your position to give it to someone else, and then they end up winning $500,000? That's the equivalent of what this was. Because again, this entire movement, once again, relegates our position in line to some other minority, some other entity that has more importance than us. And this is the funny thing that I wish, it's unfortunate, and I say this, but I'm going to say it. I wish our black women would understand that they are the proverbial cart and buggy that the white woman uses to drive her down to this parade.
Repeat that.
You're not her equal.
Repeat that.
At all.
Repeat that.
They are being manipulated, because I want to make sure that someone hears that correctly. Being manipulated like the proverbial horse and buggy driving their white woman down to the parade. Make no mistake about it. If you don't think that this hasn't happened before, go to the women's suffrage movement between the 1890s and 1920s when she wanted to get the right to vote. So what did she tell you? Help us and we'll help you. And your sons were still being lynched. So we tried this again in the 1960s and 70s. Women's liberation. Woman can do what a man can do. And the woman needs a job just like a man needs a job. And so she got a little bit higher, but then she sent you back to your house to put your kids on welfare, to put your kids on the WIC program.
And let me throw this out. And that also, ladies, was the first. That was when they used the term for black. That's when they used the term minorities for black women. That's when you became a minority, and they used that term.
Correct.
And
which was a absolute strategy, because see, when we delegate you as a species, as a minority, then we can segregate you from your bigger species. See, you create a whole new sector that we can pull from. See, because before then, remember now, we were all just black. We were all just colored. But now, no, we have a sub-definition. You're not really black. You're a woman, and you're a black woman. Now, again, this is not to take any sort of disrespect or any sort of accomplishment that they've done, because they've done some tremendous things. I find it atrocious that not even just 3 to 5 years ago, we finally find out about Katherine Johnson and the women who helped NASA get off the ground. I find that atrocious. But that's a whole nother thing. So it has nothing to do with not giving women their due, not affecting them or making them equal. I'm just trying to let you understand that it's not for what you think it is. It's a strategic move. Look at what happened with Bill Cosby at his trial. I'm not talking about the verdict or anything like that. Who did they make strip half naked and write all over her body and parade around like a loose horse?
Yeah, during his trial.
Who do they always make do the most and embarrassing? One of us. And you're not catching that this is the same thing. And this is why I say allegations are extremely dangerous. Allegations got Emmett Till killed. Allegations got 9 to 10 boys locked up for the remainder of their life in South Carolina from allegations.
Mm-hmm.
Allegations caused a race riot in the city of Tulsa in 1919, 1921. Allegations started the race war in Florida, Rosewood / Sanford. See, so it's real funny when I hear people say, well, allegations and everybody has to be, they have to be taken and believed. Bull, excuse me. No, not at all. No. Allegations have to go through due process. And I'm very have a president who has the balls to say what needs to be said and to put people in their proper place when necessary.
Because that's exactly.
See, because that's what has happened. We've gotten off balance trying to be politically correct.
And who do we have to thank for that? The proverbial jackass, Obama.
Well, he was planted.
Well, we will agree. We definitely will agree on that.
Understand that. He was, if you look at the Intel Pro Agenda by J. Edgar Hoover, he told us in 1959, the next time y'all will have any Messiah, I will give him to you.
Yeah, he sure did say that. He sure did.
And what did he do? Because people who grew up in Chicago can never tell you who this dude was before 2008. I find that kind of interesting.
Huh. That's a giant question mark.
Thank you for my time.
No, thank you. When man, I tell you, when Georgia calls in, you almost you need to sit back, relax, and hunker down, strap yourself in, because he is going to give you some knots. It's gonna blow your wigs back, and I do mean blow them back. But this thing here with this Kavanaugh and the allegations, and like you said, this is the thing. And see what you're seeing is white people trying to destroy white people. But this is nothing new to them. This is who they are and what they do. Allegations. This is all this was. And like you said, truth be told, yeah, and a lot of people, and I catch a lot of flack because it's not so much in supporting Trump. That's not what I said. But I agree with the policy and I agree with his business tactics and the way of getting things done. And there's an old saying, you can't talk to broke people. You can't talk to broke people. And this is where we're at. And when this dude Kavanaugh was handpicked by Trump to help set the balance of conservative, pulling back the needle from the levels of corruption and immorality back to a sure footing of some form of morality, some form of common sense. This is what we needed. This dude has placed two justices in the same year. Now, between now and the time that Trump's term ends, you may have another justice that made the step down or retire, whatever the case may be, and that will give him a third pick. That will be the most of any sitting president in the history of this country. But we have to have some form of balance. That's why I said at the end, this is why I said, the boom boom room. Because there's a point to where a lot of this foolishness has to come to an end. People have to start being held accountable for their actions. Jason Van Dyke has been tried, tried and judged and convicted. Whatever he gets after that, that's what he gets. Brett Kavanaugh, we don't know what he did. I can't say it because I wasn't in the room. Several people who were there also refute Ford's allegations that this did not happen. And when these people started acting a fool about saying, well, you're putting him over women's rights, the whole thing is like Georgia said from the beginning. There's a point where people need to know their place, and that is exactly what Trump is doing. He's putting people in his place. He don't care who don't like it. Not saying it for you to like. It's about business. America is a business, and we just happen to be the assets of this country. We just happen to be the assets. At some point or another, we need to realize that and wake up. But you know what, y'all? We can go on and on with this, with these two, with this topic, and a few other things. But that's my time here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. I want to give a shout out to all my people out there who are over there working at Empire, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Med, and the Red Line over there. I said that I would give a shout out to everybody. So hope you all heard me on that one. Check out Captain Hook's Fish, Chicken, and Shrimp. Check out their locations, 159th in Kedzie, 85th in Cottage Grove, and 103rd in King Drive. Nubian Beauty of Hair. Go to their website to look at their fabulous products at luxuryhairdirect.com/by/Nubian 4 dot, and remember to put the dot on the end of that 4. And in closing, not my monkey, not my circus. See y'all next week.
These niggas thinking they crazy out here. That bounce. Y'all gotta pardon me tonight. I feel like a superhero up in here.